अनेका जन्म संसिद्धः अनेक जन्म संसिद्ध ततः याति परां गतिं ततो याति परां गतिं प्रयत्नाद्यतात्मानस्तु योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषः अनेक जन्म संसिद्धः ततो याति परां गतिं प्रयत्नाद्यतात्मानस्तु प्रयत्नाद्यतमानस्तु योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषः अनेक जन्म संसिद्धः ततो याति परां गतिं प्रयत्नाद्यतमानस्तु योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषः अनेक जन्म संसिद्धः ततो याति परां गतिं प्रयत्नाद्यतमानस्तु योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषः अनेक जन्म संसिद्धः ततो याति परां गतिं प्रयत्नाद्यतमानस्तु योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषः अनेक जन्म संसिद्धः ततो याति परां गतिं प्रयत्नाद्यतमानस्तु योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषः अनेक जन्म संसिद्धः ततो याति परां गतिं प्रयत्नाद्यतमानस्तु योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषः अनेक जन्म संसिद्धः ततो याति परां गतिं प्रयत्नाद्यतमानस्तु योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषः अनेक जन्म संसिद्धः ततो याति परां गतिं. You want to chant? Yeah. Can't see. You can go close if you want. Just chant. These are words spoken by the Lord, very auspicious. प्रयत्नाद्यतमानस्तु योगी संशुद्ध किल्बिषः अनेक जन्म संसिद्धः ततो याति परां गतिं. And if you want to chant Mahant, Mahant is hiding. Who's hiding? Is it Mahant? No. Mahant, you are Mahant, right? You are Taman. Tamal? Taman. Sure, no problem. Online, anybody wants to chant?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, go ahead.
Prayatnadyatmanastu
Yogi samsuddha kilvishaha Aneka janma samsiddhas tato yati param gatim. Prayatnad yatamanastu yogi samsuddha kilvishaha aneka janma samsiddhas tato yati param gatim. Synonyms: prayatnat, by rigid practice; yatamanaha, one who endeavors; tu, but; yogi, such a transcendentalist; samsuddha, washed off; kilvishaha, all kinds of sins; aneka, many, many; janma, births; samsiddha, so achieved perfection; tataha, thereafter; yati, attains; param, highest; gatim, destination. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation: but when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed off all contaminations, then ultimately after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. Translation with repetition. But when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed off all contaminations, then ultimately, after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. A person born in a particularly righteous, aristocratic or sacred family becomes conscious of his favorable condition for executing yoga practice. With determination, therefore, he begins his unfinished task, and thus he completely cleanses himself of all material contaminations. When he is finally free from all contaminations, he attains the supreme perfection, Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the perfect stage of being freed of all contaminations. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Yesham tvantagatam papam jananam punyakarmanam te dvanda moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridhabrataha. After many, many births of executing pious activities, when one is completely freed from all contaminations and from all illusory dualities, one then becomes engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Thus ends the wonderful transcendental Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we have a wonderful verse today in Bhagavad Gita. And this verse, let's go straight into this verse. The title for today's class is How to Attain the Supreme Goal. And the verse is Prayatnad yatamanastu yogi samsuddha kilvishaha aneka janma samsiddhas tato yati param gatim. What Krishna is trying to say in this verse is, we have been seeing in this previous verse when Arjuna had this question, that what if while taking up this path of devotion I am unsuccessful? What happens to my fate? Suppose you come to this process of Krishna consciousness, somebody inspired you, you thought this is the right thing to do and you come, but for some reasons you again get distracted and you get diverted into your material life. What happens to you? That was the question which Arjuna had. Of course, Arjuna is a pure devotee of the Lord. He is asking these questions on behalf of us. Because sometimes in future, when all of us are here and take up to this process of devotion, we develop some kind of samshayas, doubts. And then when these doubts come in our life, we think maybe I was better off with my material pursuits, with my materialistic life. Why did I take up to this path of devotion? And I go back. So, I know in Hindi, where are you from in India? Andhra Pradesh, okay. In Hindi, there is a proverb which comes, Dhobi ka kutta, ghar ka na ghat ka. You all know? How you from Andhra, you know this? Okay, so you know Hindi a little bit. Okay, good. Sometimes it can appear like, I could not become successful here and I could not become successful there also. I gave up my material life and I took up to this path of devotion. And I could not become successful here, and when I went back to material life, I was too late and things are now out of my control. So in the previous verses, Krishna had given wonderful assurances that you don't have to worry about. If you just take up to this process little, where the little comes with the conditions, asterisks in the below. Little doesn't mean that we all should do little. But imagine for some reason somebody has done little, just came once, after that disappeared for some reason. That also happens. Still there is nothing to fear, because when somebody comes even once, or for you just came and attended one festival, Janmashtami, big festival, people get to know and they come. Krishna says just by doing that, you take birth in rich aristocratic family or in heavenly planets and you enjoy the pious credit. After you are finished with that, you take birth in either pure, in pious family, Suchinam or Srimatam or mercantile family. Suchinam gives you assurance. If you are born in a Brahminical family, automatically there is some spiritual practices and you will naturally take it up. And if it is Srimatam, if there is a lot of opulences like, the mercantile family, then your material necessities are taken care of. You don't have to worry about them. You can think about spiritual things. Because unless the bottom of the pyramid is taken care, you can't think about self-realization and all. When there is hunger and there is no basic necessities are not met, you will not be thinking about spiritual things. That is guaranteed by Krishna. This is for a person who has just taken little. Someone who has taken to this path for a longer time and he has been practicing, he stayed there for some more time and then he falls down. That also can happen. So in that case, what happens? Then he takes birth in the family of transcendentalists who are very advanced, where already there is all kinds of Krishna conscious practices are going on, and one immediately, automatically can take it up. So much of assurance is given. And in this verse, Krishna is telling something further. We will see this, very interesting. So that means I should just take up little and then don't do anything this life. Wait again, next life I'll take birth in some rich aristocratic family or in transcendentalist if I'm there for a long time. After that it will happen and I'll go back. ठीक है ना, एक life के जगह पे मैं 3 life ले रहा हूँ. But I am done. I don't have to worry about it. But there is a clue. It's not as straightforward as it appears, right? Had it been so easy, then we would have done, okay, you go back today, take rest, nothing to do for the rest of your life. Sleep peacefully, die. Next life you'll take birth in heavenly planet as Indra with Apsaras. You enjoy with them, come back, rich aristocratic family, take up to this path of devotion, finished. Life is over, you go back to Krishna. Had that been so easy, then there is no need to have temples, there is no need to go to some transcendentalists or pure devotees and follow their instructions. There is a catch. And the catch is given in this verse. Krishna is telling, Prayatna diyatamanas yogi samsuddha kilvisha. One very important thing which people often miss out or don't pay attention, which is pointed out in this verse, You might have taken birth in Suchinam Shrimatam or in the family of transcendentalists. But if you are not careful of your association, then you can again. So that's why the word used here is samsuddha kilvishaha. One has to purify the consciousness. One has to get rid of all the contaminations. Wash off, Prabhupada is saying. Washed off the contaminations. Then only one can go back to Krishna. We will talk about it. I want to give you one example from Krishna book. There is a demon by name Narakasura. Have you heard of? Heard? Further questions will come if you say. You have not heard, I'm sure. You have heard? Okay, very good. So, who is Narakasura? Demon. Very good. Correct. Then? Okay, you're there. You know a little bit. Okay. Do you know who's father of Narakasura? Question passes. Okay, Jagannath Tirtha. Smile is not enough. Panduranga. Badri. Krishna book abhi finish kiya. Huh? Narakasura. Bhaumasura is his associate. Who's Narakasura's father and mother? You'll be surprised. Actually, the father of Narakasura is. Exactly. Yes. She's right. So you knew it. You could have told. You were just. Okay. So father of Narakasura is Lord himself, Vishnu, and he's born to Prithvi, Mother Earth. I mean, what better parents you could have asked for? But he became Narakasura. How? Because he was associating with a demon called Banasura. So this Asat Sangha doesn't matter even if we are born in, you can sit peacefully, don't worry. These are also nice stories you can hear. So even if somebody is born in, rich aristocratic family or in, good Brahminical family or transcendentalist, or even to the extent that you are born to the Supreme Lord himself, still you can get contaminated. That is why the translation of today's verse is, when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. The supreme goal, reaching the abode of Krishna, where Krishna mentions many times, Yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mamam. That abode of the Lord, which is eternal, which is free from all contaminations, is not easy to attain. It's not very easy. One of the criteria which is mentioned here, which is a topmost priority in a sadhaka's life, is to ensure that one is one is washed of all contaminations. And there is a sincere endeavor which is required. There is a determination which is required. And there is a second thing is to ensure that our consciousness is free from all contaminations. In the purport, Prabhupada actually talks about the first line of the purport itself. Prabhupada says that a person born in a particularly righteous, aristocratic or sacred family becomes conscious of his favorable condition for executing yoga practice. Now this statement covers all the unsuccessful yogis, whether you are practiced for a short term or for a long term. So a person born in a particularly righteous or aristocratic, that is referring to those who are practiced for a short time. A person born in a particularly righteous or aristocratic or sacred family. Sacred family refers to the second one, who has practiced for a longer time. For all of them, now they have taken birth in a righteous, aristocratic or sacred family, but now what is Krishna telling them, or what is the instruction is, that they should become conscious of his favorable condition for executing yoga practice. This is where the missing link is. You may have taken birth in a good family where it is suitable, conducive for practicing devotional life, but you are not conscious of your position. That you are born to such a family where your material necessities are taken care, or there is a importance or stress given to spiritual practices. If somebody is not conscious of that, then the determination to practice will not come. Let's deep dive into some of these purports very interestingly, which Prabhupada is talking about this. Very, very, very powerful thing. We just went through the understanding of the verse. There are two important points in this, which we will talk in this session today. Such a yogi ultimately achieves perfection and the supreme goal after many, many births of practice. This is our central point. So the yogi who is unsuccessful, he will achieve the perfection and the supreme goal, but it is requiring practice and many, many births if he is not conscious of it. What is that consciousness? What is he not aware of? And how can he be aware of it, or how can he make sure that he is reaching that goal? Two things: by making a sincere endeavor and after being washed of all contaminations. If these two things are happening, then the yogi will reach the supreme destination or goal, but that sometimes takes many, many births of practice. Recently, IHA Boston, we have a YouTube channel. We released a short video called "What is Contaminated Consciousness?" देखा आपने? हाँ बोलोगे तो फंसोगे, ना बोलोगे भी तो भी फंसोगे. देखा? 1 मिनट का वीडियो 50 बार एडवर्टाइजमेंट किया, देखा. वेरी गुड. क्या देखा? What is contaminated consciousness? आपने देखा? नहीं देखा. What does contaminated consciousness means? No. 1 minute you have to explain a layman what is contaminated consciousness. You want to try? Dhananjay is a beautiful name. Radha again, another beautiful name. Try. What is contaminated consciousness? Contaminated means what? Okay. Yes. And what is consciousness? Good. So what is the symptom of a man whose consciousness is contaminated or polluted? So how do you define contamination? Very good. Very good attempt. Very sincere attempt. Badri? I know very well. I have not seen. What is the definition given in that? False enjoyer and? Okay. What is the contaminated consciousness? The narrator himself? So you said enjoyer and what was the other word you used? Controller. So it's actually creator. So in a state of contaminated consciousness, one thinks he's the enjoyer. There is nothing wrong, right? We all feel we should enjoy in this material world. And he thinks he's the creator. And exactly this is the reason why we are here in this material world. Because I want to be the Lord of all I survey. Everything that I see in this world, that I'm able to perceive and understand, should be used for my service, for my enjoyment. But actually our scriptures say, we are eternal and we are part and parcel of the Lord. We are meant to serve Him. He is the original creator. He is the original enjoyer. Like the hand which is used for feeding our mouth, and when the food goes to the belly, every part of our body gets nourished. Similarly, when we engage in devotional service to the Lord, everything gets nourished. Every energy, whatever is required for our existence comes. But when the hand tries to enjoy itself on its own, independent of Krishna, imagine if you don't put the food in your mouth, want to try to take the rasgulla and squeeze it, nothing happens. So similarly, we get frustrated in this material world when we try to become independent enjoyer or independent creator. So here it is mentioned that one has to get rid of all the contaminations by making a sincere endeavor and by after being washed of all contaminations. Few days back there was a very interesting lecture which was given by Chanchalpati Prabhu, and he was talking about how this consciousness gets contaminated and purified. What is one of the most important thing that helps? Like I gave the example of Narakasura in association, even though he had the parents of the Lord himself and Bhumi Devi, still he got contaminated. One of the key things in our life is association, with whom we are associating. Very interestingly, this verse comes in 5th canto, 5th chapter, 2nd verse. And this verse is spoken by Rishabhadev, who's an incarnation of the Lord, to his 100 sons. And he says, Mahat sevam dwaram ahur bimuktes tamo dwaram yoshitam sangi sangam mahantaste samachitta prasanta bimanyavah suhrudah sadhavo ye. Very interesting. In our life, we always have two choices, two options. One is the choice or option of associating with devotees, Mahat Sevam, and there is one which is Yoshit Sangi Sangam. So when we are associating, here the word Mahat is further elaborated by Prabhupada as transcendentalist, and not only devotees, but he's including even impersonalists. But the important thing is when one gets this opportunity to engage in devotional service to Mahat, when one does Mahat Sevam, Dwaram Ahur Bimuktes, then the doors of liberation opens up. One can attain the path of liberation from material bondage only by rendering service to highly advanced spiritual personalities. These personalities are impersonalists and devotees. Whether one wants to merge into the Lord's existence or wants to associate with the personality of Godhead, one should render service to the Mahatmas. So when we engage in devotional service to highly advanced spiritualists, then we are actually, the doors of liberation opens up. Mahat Sevam Dwaram Ahur Bimuktis. Whereas Tamo Dwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam, if you are associating with people, for those who are not interested in such activities and who associate with people fond of women and sex, who are Yoshit Sangi, who are materially, they just want to have so-called material enjoyment, associate with opposite sex and women and this thing, then the path to hell is wide open. Mahantaste tamodvaram yoshitam sangi sangam. The Mahatmas are equipoised. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another. Mahantaste samachitta. They don't see any difference. They see that this is spirit soul trapped in a body of a woman, trapped in a body of a man, trapped in a body of a woman. But they see the spirit soul. That's why when they are seeing samachitta with equal vision. The Mahatmas are equipoised. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another. They are very peaceful and are fully engaged in devotional service. They are devoid of anger and they work for the benefit of everyone. It's not easy to find someone who's really thinking of our well-being, who's seeing the difficult situation of ours and giving us the path. By taking to that path, we can permanently get rid of these miseries of life. These miseries of life don't go away in our life. It's not very easy. They're very peaceful and are fully engaged in devotional service. They're devoid of anger and they work for the benefit of everyone. They do not behave in any abominable way. Such people are known as Mahatmas. Mahatma is not referring to Mahatma Gandhi only. Mahatma is someone who executes or who demonstrates by his practical action that he's always fixed in Brahman. He's not angry. He's seeing samachitta. He's seeing with equal vision. And serving such a Mahatma, the doors of liberation become open. This is the injunction of the scriptures. To remember this verse, always see that there is a door which is open, which is well lit, And this door of liberation is open only when you engage in devotional service to a Mahatma. Whereas there is another door which opens to dark, hellish planets, and that happens when we are associating with whom? No, Yoshit Sangi, people who are associated with opposite sex. So people who are Yoshit Sangi, when we associate with Yoshit Sangi, then the doors to hell open. Sometimes we think, who will be interested in opening the door to hell? But there are people who unknowingly, who are attracted to that, they open the door to hell. Now, very interestingly, in the purport, Prabhupada quotes one verse from Bhagavad Gita, and that verse is a very powerful verse. That verse talks about the eligibility. If you want to remember the verse from Bhagavad Gita which talks about the eligibility of achieving the transcendental perfection, then that verse is quoted by Prabhupada in the purport. So, for example, do you have a driving license? No. When did you come here? You don't have a license? Okay. Not interested? Or written and failed? Or okay. What are the eligibility for getting the driver's license? Must be 18 years and above, right? Otherwise, you can't get license. And you must be at least demonstrating your skills in front of the examiner that you can drive in actual road conditions. There is a road test. Before that, you should have demonstrated, the written test where you've showing your competence that you've understood the rules and regulations. So similarly, there is a eligibility verse which is spoken by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, where he is saying that if you want to elevate yourself to transcendental platform, then there are certain things that he is telling. So the verse is very interesting, and how do you know that this verse is the verse of eligibility? Because that is mentioned by Prabhupada in the purport in the first line. Those eligible for elevation to the transcendental position are mentioned in this verse. So in the purport it is given, those eligible for elevation to the transcendental position are mentioned in this verse. Which verse it is? Narrator? Ye tu? Yeah, that verse only is only one verse which is given in the purport, right? Why you have to think so much? Yesham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvanda moha nirmukta bhajante mam dridhabrataha. This verse comes in which chapter? Pakka? Online? Okay, let's switch a little bit. Anybody knows which chapter this verse comes? They're all sleeping. Sleeping souls, Hare Krishna.
Chapter,
Yeah, 18th chapter is the right answer. Good guess. Anybody else? Shweta Mataji, Jagan Prabhu, Sukirti Prabhu.
I don't know, Prabhu. I'm so sorry. I will just Google. I have to.
Okay, no problem. That's at least being honest. Sukirti Prabhu. Yeah. Googled or new?
Google.
Okay. Yeah, so this verse comes in the 7th chapter, towards the end, and Krishna says 3 conditions. There are 3 things that Krishna mentions for becoming eligible to elevate to the transcendental position, as mentioned in this verse. First thing is antagatam papam. Yesham tu antagatam papam. Actually, if we are not free from doing sinful activities in our life, even if we take to this process of devotion, this process becomes elongated. This doesn't, you can't achieve the perfection. First thing is you have to bring a full stop to all the sinful activities that you are doing in your life. Yesham to antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam. The second thing that is mentioned is to develop some pious activities. Pious activities doesn't mean that, you go and do some charitable work or some other things. It's not pious. That kind of piety will lead you to heavenly planets. But the pious activity is something which will develop an attraction for the Supreme Lord. That is by hearing Bhagavad Gita, by chanting the names of the Lord. You accumulate some pious credits. That's how a person becomes interested in knowing about the Lord. Not everybody is interested. Yesham to antagatam papam, first one. What is the first one? Sujata Mataji. Okay, and what is the second one? You understood? No, that is the second one. Reading also sometimes doesn't give you the right answer. So the first one is whose sinful actions have come to an end. Yesham to antagatam papam. Second is the one that you said. Persons who have acted piously in previous lives or in this life. And pious activity is different from the normal pious activity that we do outside, like charity or something. It is doing spiritual activities, spiritual piety, which is different, like, taking the names of the Lord, visiting a temple of the Lord, hearing Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. These are all pious credits get built. So, yesham to antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvanda moha nirmukta. The third thing is one becomes free from the delusion of the dualities. Dvanda moha nirmukta. One becomes free from the dualities of delusion. What is dualities of delusion? Sometimes we feel happy, sometimes we feel sad. These are dualities. Sometimes we feel hot, sometimes we feel cold. Sometimes we feel fame, sometimes we feel infamy. Sometimes we feel insult, sometimes we feel praise. Right? These are all things which is material. This is related to our body. But it has nothing to do with the soul. And these dualities, it bewilders us. That is a moha. It bewilders us and we think, oh, he insulted me, he praised me, or I am in happiness, or I am in sad, or I am in some distress. These are all dualities. So one becomes free from the dualities of this material existence. Then bhajante mam dridhavrata. Then they engage themselves in my service with determination. What is the meaning of the word determination? Yeah, focused is one good word in that whole thing that you said. You understood the meaning, yeah, but you're not able to explain. But you're there. When we do, you want to try? Interest? Sincerity? Sheshu is not here, but you are here. Does that? That's one of the sign of determination, right? Her husband's name is Sheshu. He comes. Yesterday I saw him in the book distribution stall, but he doesn't come here. Sometimes comes, sometimes doesn't. So determination is doing the things when without failure, consistently, without getting deviated. There should be a strong resolve, a conviction that I should do this. That is a very key thing to reach to that supreme destination in this life. If we really want to get rid of that consciousness which is contaminated, if we really want to engage in devotional service with sincerity, one key factor is determination. Where it is mentioned in Nectar of Instruction? उसमें determination कहाँ है? Nischaya. Dhairya. Dhairya looks like determination. What do you think? Dhairya, have you heard of this word? What does it mean? That's Saurya. Dhairya is patience. It's not determination. Utsaha is enthusiasm. So one has to have the enthusiasm to engage in devotional service, and there should be patience. You can't be impatient. Now I have taken up to this process of devotion. Why nothing is happening in my life? You have to have patience. But to hold these two things together, you need a nischaya. And nischaya is determination. If there is no determination, then utsaha will not last. Utsaha lasts only for some time. But when the determination is there, the binding, then there is the dhairya factor comes. I should be patient also. I should give some time, but I should be engaged in devotional service. And if utsaha is not there and determination is also not there, patient, some people are lazy actually. Karenge, abhi kya jaldi hai, aaj nahi. Next Sunday, next Saturday, Sunday, next Ekadashi jab aayega tab dekhenge. Right? We think like that. Abhi nahi. What time hai? I'm young, I have to go to school, I have to go to college, I have to do so many things. So that is laziness. That patience is not the right thing. So to hold these two things, they are important. Utsaha and dhairya are important, but the binding thing for these two is nischaya, determination. That is an important thing which Krishna says in many, many pages of Bhagavad Gita. Where else he says? No. Okay, that's not. Dridhavrata, where else it is used? Only one time? Where else? There is one more place where it is used. Who wants to try? You have prasadam? Satatam? Yatantascha? Jor se. Yeah, so this same word. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrata namasyantascha mam nityam nityayukta upasate. Right? Namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. So that verse again talks about dridhavrata. Actually, this is a characteristic of a person who has developed spiritual maturity or who's advanced to become dridhavrata, to become determined to be engaged in devotional service, to come to that understanding, because we have got so many distractions. That's exactly is a reflection of our contaminated consciousness, which is keeping us trapped in this material world, which is making us go after different ways of enjoying this material world. It gives us the feeling that I can be the controller, I can be the creator, and we are pursuing that. But to get rid of that, to become free from that, one very key important thing which actually attracts the mercy of the Lord is determination, dridhavrata. Why do you need a dridhavrata? Where it is required? Where does the dridhavrata comes into picture? Where in life we need determination? When everything is going fine, your children are doing well, they're listening to you, they're doing good in studies, your job, everything is fine. You need determination to practice? No. When do you need determination? When we are falling off, when things are not going well, when things are not in control, when we are thinking that, my life, I don't know what's going on, I'm fearful of some things. That time, should I take up to this devotion or should I take care of my family? Should I take care of my responsibilities or should I depend on Krishna? That's where the conflict comes in our mind. That's where the doubt comes. That is where we are tested in life. That is where the Lord puts us in those tests and sees whether we are really serious or we are just doing it as lip service. We just show off once in a day or something. We also chant. We put tilak, kanthi and all those things. That is what is tested. And so the first thing, we have to remember that we need this determination when we are going through painful situation in life. When we are put into pain, that is when our determination is tested, first thing. Very interestingly, you all probably will be knowing that there is another book that we all follow called Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a discussion which is happening between Parikshit and Sukadev Goswami. And this first hearer of Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj, is cursed by a small boy, a Brahmana boy by name Shringi, that he is going to die in 7 days' time. And he has given up all his kingdom, and he has gone to river Ganges, and he is seated there. All the sages have assembled there. Sukadev Goswami is yet to arrive. There is one thing which Parikshit Maharaj is telling, very, very instructive at that time. The words that he says at that time is, Tasyeva meghasya paravaresho vyasakta chittasya griheshu avikshnam nirveda mula dvijasapa rupa yatra prasakto bhayama sudhatte. Tasyeva meghasya paravaresho vyasakta chittasya griheshu avikshnam nirveda mula dvijasapa rupa yatra prasakto bhayama sudhatte. Imagine if you have done some mistake in your company, wherever you are working, and that was being seen or observed by your boss, and he calls to his cabin and he chastises you. You fool, you rascal, don't know even this. I mean, nobody does that. Maybe they can go if somebody is very fanatic or something. You get some scolding from Smriti like that. So, okay. So it can happen, right? You feel, you may not like it at that point in time, but at least you feel it's okay because I did some mistake. I deserve to get punished. Maybe she was a little more harsh than I thought. What can be done? But imagine if you have not done any mistake. Mistake is done by somebody else. And your superior thinks the mistake is because of you. And he or she calls you to the cabin and just bashes you. What will be the feeling inside you? Really not good, but some more. It will not be so polite. Okay, theek hai, chalta hai. It will come out of the cabin like that, or what will be going on inside your? You want to just slap him, or what does he think of? Right? That kind of a feeling will come. Here is one king, one emperor, who's cursed to die in 7 days of time for no fault of his. By some impudent, proud son of a Brahmana who had no understanding. He wrongly concluded, and he's cursing him that in 7 days' time you're going to die by snake bite. But what is the reaction of Parikshit Maharaj, which is mentioned in this? Tasyeva meghasya paravaresho vyasakta chittasya griheshu avikshnam nirveda mulo dvijasapa rupo yatra prasakto bhayama sudhatte. He's telling this is a mercy of the Lord. For a householder like me who's attached to this materialistic householder life, this is the way of Lord. By His mercy, He has made me detached. He has drawn me, because now this curse has been put on me. I have given up my kingdom. I have given up everything. Now I am here. This is a blessing of the Lord. But only prayer that He has is that, in that time of pain, when whatever that mythical creature that the person has created, that the yogi son has created, which is going to come and bite me, my mind should not get distracted from serving the Lord. Because pain is something which makes us forget the Lord. Even if it is little harsh word, somebody said something, why are you sleeping in the daytime? Why are you sleeping in the morning? What? So that becomes, that makes us agitated. So when we are there in front of the Lord, also when we are doing devotional service, we may not be doing it with the right mood, with anger. That's not what the Lord is seeing. The Lord is seeing how much we are able to tolerate the pain, yet we are not getting deviated from what is expected of us. The determination to remain steadfast, to execute devotional service despite obstacles. Easy to get deviated. What is the big deal in that? Everybody feels like that. But we should learn from the great devotees like Parikshit Maharaj, who exemplified this. He's going to die. Imagine if somebody comes and tells you, you've got 7 days notice. Whatever you want to do, you can do. But after 7 days, I'm sorry to say, the time is up. Can come. Right? We don't know. There's so many things which are happening. Anything can happen to anyone at any point in time. How do we prepare ourselves at that time? Do we think that it's a curse? Why the Lord has done this to me? I've been serving Him from so long. This is what? Lord, kya hua? Mere ko 7 din ka notice de raha hai? This kind of a thought comes, right? I'm Parikshit. I'm not some ordinary person. I'm a great devotee of the Lord. I was protected by the Lord Himself in my mother's womb. And now I have been cursed to die for no fault of mine. And that too, He had the power to counteract. He could have counteracted with another curse. But He doesn't do anything. That is what is, that's what is a spiritual maturity, where somebody sees this as Krishna's plan, as Krishna's hands, and engages in devotional service with determination. Tasyeva meghasya paravaresho vyasakta chittasya griheshu abhikshnam nirveda mulo dvijasa parupa yatra prasakto bhayama sudhatte. And then he goes on further, if you see in Bhagavatam, he says, imagine if still, now you all have assembled out of your mercy and you are here and you are going to give me some instruction, I am ready to listen. But what if my mind still gets distracted and I am not able to achieve the perfection? I have these 3 prayers. Very important. We come before the Lord, we have some darshan, we just see, but we go back. And usually we come and we ask, husband ko thoda prosperity de dena hai, jo bhi hai, baal bacche sab sahi rahe, बच्चे हमारे पढ़ लिख के बड़े हो जाएं, सब घर में अच्छा हो, धन सुख संपत्ति घर आए, कष्ट मिटे तन का, ओम जय जगदीश हरे. We sing all those, we've been used to. But we should hear and see how a pure devotee prays. What is his prayer? पुनश्च भूयाद भगवती अनंते रतिः प्रसंगश्च तदाश्रयेषु महत्सु याम्याम उपयामि सृष्टिं मैत्री अस्तु सर्वत्र नमो द्विजेभ्यः. You know what is the most rare thing in this material world? Take a guess. Even rarer than that. That is definitely one of the rare things which he prays for. What is rarer than that? Mercy of spiritual master. You can try. You're saying something. You can tell loudly, no problem. Which one? Go ahead. Go for it, don't worry. It's to get a good husband? Maybe, okay. Moksha, liberation. That you think is the most difficult? Actually, when we don't know the depths of spiritual life, it looks like moksha is not an easy thing. But actually, moksha becomes easily doable once you understand the process. Moksha is standing with folded hands when somebody is engaging in devotional service. So that it is doable. But here he is telling something else. Punascha bhuyad bhagavati anante. Even if I take birth again, I don't know if I can achieve the perfection in this life. Then Parikshit Maharaj is telling that I should have these 3 prayers. Punascha bhuyad bhagavati anante. Bhagavati anante rati. I should have attraction. My mind should be absorbed in Krishna. Rati. Attraction. People are differently attracted to different things. Different things attract different people. Somebody get attracted to cricket. Somebody get attracted to sports, some research. That drive them. That there is something which is driving in us, right? You want to take care of your family members. Maybe I'm just. Or you want to make a contribution in the society by doing some research, some development. Your impact, your contribution should make some difference in people's lives. That drives you. Somebody wants to become a very powerful, influential speaker. Somebody wants to do something. That is where his mati, he's absorbed in this. And you will find 99.99% of these people in this material world are attracted to some material things. But Parikshit Maharaj is telling, if I die, if I am unsuccessful, punascha bhuyat bhagavati anante rati, let me have attraction rati towards Krishna. Very few people get attracted to the Supreme Lord because they don't know. That's our constitutional position. Yet we don't get attracted to it. That's the unfortunate thing. You know, very interestingly, there is one example which came to my mind. I'll talk about it a little later. If I don't talk about it, you can remind one example you were talking about. First prayer is Punascha Bhuyat Bhagavati Anante Rati Prasangascha Tadashrayeshu. Second thing he's telling is that let me be there in the association of devotees. Because when we are there in association of devotees, somehow, even if you're not interested, not attached, not attracted to Krishna, you will develop an attachment. You will develop an attraction. If you are there in the association, in the sangha of drunkards, even if you are not a drunkard, someday you will develop a little desire. थोड़ा तो चखना चाहिए. अरे सारे सरावी लोग पड़े हैं, मैं एक बार तो पीता हूँ. वैसे ही when you come in association of devotees, even if you have no desire, no interest, you just coming for some reasons, so you will develop some desire. Why they are so mad about this Lord? What is going on? Let me also try. So he is telling Punascha Bhuyad Bhagavati Anante Rati Prasangascha Tadashreshu Mahatsu Yamyam Upayami Shrishtim Maitriyastu Sarvatra Namodvijebhya. The third thing he is telling is, let me have Maitri, let me have compassion, have friendship with every living entity. These three prayers Parikshit Maharaj is praying. How many of us pray when we bow down before the Lord? Right? Punascha Bhuyad Bhagavati Anante Rati Prasangascha Tadashreshu. We don't do this. But we should learn from these prayers of the great devotees. Now, the next 5-10 minutes that we have before we conclude today's session, I wanted to tell you something very practical in our lives. Keeping in mind this, how do we purify our contaminated consciousness? And how should we be determined? As we said that, the determination is required where we are going through some painful situation or fearful situation, and we should pray to the Lord that I do the right action which is expected of me, and not do something which is the natural implicit reaction which comes at the spur of the moment. One of the things that we should definitely pray to the Lord, and that prayer can help us tremendously, that prayer has so much of potency, so much of power, is if I have done any sinful activities, or if I have deviated in my spiritual life, oh Lord, please forgive me. Please forgive me, because we are weak and we don't have all the strong determination and desire and conviction and confidence to be engaged in devotional service of the Lord. We don't have. And often it's very natural that we get deviated. But if we come before the Lord and we pray with folded hands, with sincerity and genuineness, that, oh Lord, please forgive me for my sinful activities. One example of this, very interesting. We all know the story of Ajamil. Ajamil's past life, if you see, he was well versed in the Vedic literatures. He had all the good behaviors that is expected of a Brahmana. And he had heard everything from the authorities, from the spiritual authorities. Yet, when he went to the forest and saw this prostitute being embraced by a Sudra lustfully, his mind got captured. And it is mentioned in Bhagavatam, Stambhayan atmanatmanam yavat sattvam yathashrutam na sasaka samadhatum mano madana bepitum. Mano madana bepitum. Stambhayan atmanatmanam yavat sattvam yathashrutam. He had heard these instructions. Yavat sattvam yathashrutam. He is trying to recollect that I should maintain the vow of brahmachari, celibacy. Celibacy doesn't mean only remaining brahmachari. Even a householder can remain celibate if he's taken the shelter of a pure devotee spiritual master, and Krishna is the center of their activities. Then that is called grihastha ashram. His chastity is towards one husband or one wife. Stambhayan atmanatmanam yavat sattvam yathashrutam na sasaka samadhatum. Yet he is not able to control his mind. Mano madana bepitum. Madana bepitum, agitated by lusty desire. Actually, in the next verse it is mentioned, it was like a mad elephant trying to uproot a very tender sapling of a banana plant. I'd imagine the elephant, if it has to uproot a small little banana plant, how difficult it will be for him. Not difficult at all, right? It's a huge mad elephant. It can easily uproot. His mind got maddened or overpowered by this lusty desire, which was like a mad elephant, and it just uprooted. He could not control. As far as possible, he patiently tried to remember the instructions of the Shastras, not even to see a woman. With the help of this knowledge and his intellect, he tried to control his lusty desires. But because of the force of Cupid within his heart, he failed to control his mind. So many times in life also we may fall down. We may commit some sinful activities. But as the verse is telling, Yesham tu antagatam papam. First, these sinful activities have to come to a complete stop. Yesham tu antagatam papam. If that is not happening, forget about being engaged in devotional service with determination. That will not come. So, antagatam papam, coming in front of the Lord and begging for forgiveness. That Lord, this has happened accidentally. I don't want to do this. I know the repercussions of this, and I don't want to repeat this. That sincere prayer can help us a lot. Similar instruction is found in the lives of Jagai and Madhai. When Jagai and Madhai were delivered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed him. This is there in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhu bole tor ar na kari sa papa. Jagai Madhai bole ar na re bapa. Prabhu bole, the Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling, tor ar na karis papa. Don't do any sinful activities anymore. Now you have taken to this path of devotion, you should not continue this. The tor ar na karisa papa, jagai madhai bole ar na re bapa, or a bap re bap, we will not do. Because the moment we are engaging in sinful activities, it increases, it intensifies the bodily concept of life, elongates our life in this material world, life after life. It entangles us. So the first prayer that we should have is, coming before the Lord and asking for forgiveness for the sinful activities that we have done. Second prayer that we should always remember to have is, we should pray to the Lord when we commit offense against devotees, because that is the second thing which can uproot us, which can take us away from devotion, this path of devotion. Great example of this is Durvasa Muni and Ambarish Maharaj, and we know how Durvasa Muni ran for shelter from Brahmaloka to Kailasha to Vaikuntha to Lord Vishnu, where Sudarshan was chasing. Sudarshan, the deity of Sudarshan may appear very peaceful. When it is there in the hand of Vishnu, that also looks very peaceful. But when Sudarshan is chasing, it's not a peaceful thing. When Sudarshan comes to kill, like Shishupal was cut when he was doing these offenses. Similarly, this Sudarshan Chakra was chasing Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni was a sannyasi. He was hardly wearing any. His possessions was only, kaupian and few dresses of like a dhoti and maybe a uttari. But a king, Ambarish, he's a grihastha, he's a king. He has got trapped with designations like, he has got money, wealth and everything. But the material designations are not important. What externally you are doing, you may be not having any possessions, you may be a sannyasi, but internally what is going on, that's what Krishna says. So your external designations is not very important. And since he offended Ambarish Maharaj, he was chased by Sudarshan Chakra until he comes and asks for forgiveness from Ambarish Maharaj himself. In the word offense in devotional life means when we deliberately do something wrong to another Vaishnava. When we deliberately, put him in, we malign the character, or we do something, blaspheme, or we develop certain ill feelings, and that manifests in words and actions, that's called offense. Aparadha. When aparadha happens, then the heart becomes hard. And a hard-hearted heart cannot perform devotion. You cannot have bhakti for Krishna. So, Prabhupada in one of the purports, when he is mentioning about this pastime of Nalakubera and Manigriva, do you know who they are? Have you heard of Nalakubera and Manigriva? Close, but not right. Some demigod sons, but not Indra. You know? Have you seen the pastime of Damodar, where Mother Yashoda bound Krishna with a mortar, grinding mortar? Have you heard of that? You've seen that. So he crawled along with the mortar and released two trees. They were Nalakubera and Manigriva. Huh? No. Kuber. Yeah. They were sons of Kuber. So these Kuber sons, they were very proud of their opulence and their birth. They were taking bath in Ganges, in Mandakini river. Ganges, how purifying it is. It purifies 3 planetary systems. They were taking bath in Ganges surrounded by some apsaras, and yet in Ganges they were drinking, they were intoxicated, their eyes were rolling, and they were completely naked. And when Narada Muni was passing by, they didn't even bother to cover their bodies. They rather were agitated by the presence of Narada Muni. So Narada Muni curses him, curses both of them, and that's how they take birth in the family of Nanda Maharaj, in the courtyard of Nanda Baba, where they got a personal darshan of the Lord. They were fortunate by being cursed by Narada Muni that they got darshan of the Lord, and the Lord delivers them. Even the curse, or even the harsh words of a sadhu can be benediction for us, can be a blessing for us. In that purport, Prabhupada says there are three things which makes a person hard-hearted. One is impersonalism, one is the worship of demigod, and the third is atheism. And of course, third, no, not the fourth. Four things is the offense. Offenses offenses at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, which these people did by not being aware of the presence of a transcendentalist like Narada Muni, and Narada Muni curses them. So when we commit offenses, then but as it happened in the case of these two great personalities, because Narada Muni had cursed, you know what is the meaning of the word ukhal? That is dhenki. By Prabhupada uses the word dhenki, whether it is in material world or spiritual world, it only does, crushing this thing. Ukhal is the one that is that grinding mortar. See, where you churn this, but not churn exactly, that is churning rod. This is used for, it's a weight. I don't know what is it used for. What is it used for? Anybody knows? Mortar. Makhan ke liye? And the makhan. Okay, so you are right. Yeah. So ukhal, the word ukhal has got khala in it, right? Our Rasik Acharyas comment something very special, that the ukhal, the only thing, it was also bound, and Krishna was also bound. But the good thing about the ukhal was it followed Krishna. It was bound to Krishna, and it followed in the footsteps of Krishna. Since it did that, it could uproot. It could be used as an instrument to uproot, to deliver these two sons of Kubera, Manigriva and Nalakubera. Similarly, in our life, we may have all the khala prabhritis, all the demoniac tendencies. But if we get bound to Krishna by bhakti, and if we follow in his instructions, if we follow in the footsteps of Krishna, then we can become an instrument in his hand to deliver some people. That is the second prayer that we should have, that we should pray to the Lord to forgive us for the offenses that we have committed to devotees. Also, we should pray to the devotees personally and ask so that our heart becomes free, that is no more hard, and we are engaged in devotion properly. The third things that we should be careful of is our neglectful dealings. Neglectful dealings. Sometimes in some spiritual activities that we are doing, we become neglectful of how to deal with it. It happens when there is too much of familiarity, ati parichay. So you think, okay, what is this person? And you just develop some familiarity, and you lose the respect. You lose the respect for scriptures, you lose the respect for the devotees, you lose the respect for the system, you lose the respect for everything, then bhakti goes away. This is actually a subtle trap of Maya, where it convinces a person that there is nothing good in this association. There is nothing good in this sangha. These devotees are ordinary people. There is nothing that I am going to learn. If a person gets that kind of a feeling, that's a great victory of Maya, where Maya has made you, very convinced, has trapped you with giving you this feeling that there is nothing in this sangha, I should look for something else. You are gone. That means you are away from this association. So one should come and ask for forgiveness for neglectful dealings. For lack of time, I am not going further, but there is a very beautiful example of, I think yesterday Prabhu was mentioning about Gajendra Moksha, right? That how he could remember his past life and the prayers that he was chanting. Very, very interestingly, just one line, I'll talk about it. Gajendra in his previous life was King Indradimna, and he was doing deity worship. And that time Agastya Muni walked in, and Agastya Muni, when he felt that he was not welcome, he cursed Indradimna, saying that you should become an elephant, because your mind, your mati is absorbed like an elephant. You are absorbed in doing something, you're not even conscious of the presence of another great person. Now look at the same thing from the perspective of Indradimna. Imagine if you're doing DT worship here, you're doing Arati, you're nicely engaged. If somebody walks in, what you would expect? You would expect that he would join in Kirtan or whatever is going on. You would not expect that you have to go and welcome him because you are doing the service of the Supreme Lord. So in case of Parikshit, he had at least done some offense by putting a dead snake around, and that's how the son of Samika Rishi, Shringi, cursed him. Something was there. But here, Indradimna king was doing worship of the deity. That's the best thing to do. And he is absorbed. Instead of appreciating him that you are so absorbed in this, Agastya Muni curses him. So this is called neglectful dealings, but how he reacted to that, how he responded to that situation is very beautiful, very, very inspiring in Bhagavatam. And that is how he could get the remembrance of those prayers that he was offering in his previous life. But we should be always mindful of our neglectful dealings. Fourth thing that we should pray to the Lord is, if we miss the opportunities in life to be engaged in devotional service. In our lives, many a times these opportunities come knocking at our door, not making noise, that this is a great opportunity to be engaged in devotional service. We don't realize it. We neglect it. We allow it to pass by. And when that opportunity is lost, it is lost forever. It doesn't come with a big bang. Okay, now here is I am a devotional, so I am coming, and you should do. If you are not doing it, you are going to miss a lot. This is again, today morning I was telling about how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was very fearful of his lifespan being very small. 95 years old, very less time is there. He was very fearful. Another subtle trap of Maya is, it makes us feel that we have a long time. Abhi kya zarurat hai? Aayenge baad mein. Self-realization kar lenge. We'll do it. There is no so much of hurry. I can come back later. As we get trapped. So we miss the opportunities. That's why our scriptures say, whenever you get a desire that you want to do devotional service, don't delay it. Immediately do it. You feel like you want to chant today 10 rounds, chant it and go. Don't go, whatever it is time, doesn't matter. I should finish it today and go. Or I feel like, I should do some service for the Lord. That is the inspiration I'm getting, but my mind will say, why you have to do it now? You should do it later. Gone. That's it. That's why the instruction which Rupa Goswami has written is called Nectar of Instruction, NOI. Or we should be careful of our neglectful, offensive, inattentive dealings with the Lord. If we are careful of these three things, neglectful, offensive and inattentive things, which is mentioned in Nectar of Instruction, if we are careful of this, then we'd automatically cleanse our misgivings. We are automatically cleanse the contaminations inside, and we achieve the supreme destination. To conclude our time together, the last thing that is mentioned in this purport is, of course, the point that I've been talking about is in determination, which is the key point in this. A person has to develop that determination, and determination is tested in the times of pain, in the times of fear, in the times of crisis. And when we come and bow down before the Lord, even if we have not followed it 100%, and we are little deviated, we ask for forgiveness from the Lord with sincerity, with genuineness, with honesty, with all sincere attempt, then the Lord gives us a second chance. The last thing that I wanted to talk about is, the punya, which is referred to here, can easily be accumulated when we are engaging in devotional service to the Lord, and that is very beautifully given in just one verse, which I'll say, and then with that we will conclude. That verse comes in the Srimad Bhagavatam 9th canto, 24th chapter, and 61st verse, the last chapter of 9th canto. The verse says, Kalau janisyamananam dukkha soka tamonudam anugrahaya bhaktanam supunyam vyatanodyasa. Punyam, the word, right? The word which is used. Yesham tu antagatam papam te jananam punya karmanam. So that word punya, supunyam vyatanodyashaha. Actually, it is mentioned in this verse, Kalau janisyamananam dukkha soka tamonudam anugrahaya bhaktanam supunyam vyatanodyasha. Very interestingly, when the Lord comes, as Krishna and performs this wonderful pastimes, the reason he does that, so that when he is not here physically, those activities, if we hear, to show causeless mercy to the devotees who take birth in the future in the age of Kali, that's all of us. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna acted in such a way that simply by remembering him, one will be freed from all the lamentation and unhappiness of the material existence. Material existence is not a very peaceful or happy existence. There are so many lamentations, there are so many difficulties, there are so many unhappiness that we go through. But just by remembering that, those wonderful pastimes that the Lord has performed, then one will be freed from all the lamentation and unhappiness of the material existence. In other words, he acted so that all future devotees, by accepting the instructions of Krishna consciousness stated in Bhagavad Gita, could be relieved from the pangs of material existence. Supunyam vyatanodyasha. By coming here, by just attending the sessions, you develop that punya, supunyat. And that punya, when it accumulates, then it frees you from your contaminated consciousness. And that's how one can achieve the supreme destination. I'll stop here and see if you have any questions or comments. Example? Okay. You came so late. What was that example? Which context I was telling? And I said that it should be Rati for this. And the example... I said no, there is rarer than that. I'm not able to recollect now. The chain of thoughts have gone in different directions. Any other question? Dhananjay? This is your first class. Any comments? Anything in general? Maybe you can help him. Okay. But anything that you want to reflect or share? What were the prayers of Parikshit? Remember those 3 prayers that he had, he was just mentioning. First one is right, okay. Satsang, association of devotees. Maitri, yeah, good. Perfect. Yeah. 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 Yeah, actually, when we go through painful situation in life, we forget Krishna. Yeah. But his prayer was very careful, these prayers. So he's telling that pain of that snake bite, whenever that happens, I'm just praying to all of you who have assembled here that let my mind not get distracted in that and be engaged in Krishna's service. Very true. Anybody has anything to share or comment online? They're in YouTube. YouTube, any question is there? Hare Krishna. Somebody, okay. Jagannath Prabhu, you have any question? Theoretically, we know the answer, but practically, it is a difficult thing, right? That is why, even if somebody does that out of weakness of heart, like it happened, if you see towards the end of Ajamila's pastime, we all know that he chanted Narayana and he got liberated. But we really don't know when the Yamadutas came, when he uttered the word Narayana, those Vishnudutas, when they came, and the dialogue that happened between Vishnudutas and Yamadutas, there are a lot of important things. One of the things that Ajamila mentions, when the dialogue is over, thank you for coming, and I'm sorry that I committed that sinful activities, and I promised that I would not do. It is not that he immediately got liberated. He goes to Haridwar and engages in devotional service without any sinful activities and achieves the perfection of life. That many people don't know. They say, okay, Ajamila ek baar Narayana bola and chala gaya. It's not like that. So the point is, what I'm trying to say is, it's a very important thing in our life to bring a full stop to all the sinful activities. Without that, being engaged in devotional service with Dridhavrata, with determination, doesn't come. Right? So it is, if you are able to conquer one desire of yours in your heart, it's a far bigger victory compared to fulfilling many material desires. Krishna's instruction in 3rd chapter Bhagavad Gita is Duspurena Analenava. Duspurena. You can never satisfy lusty desires. The more you try to satisfy, the more it comes back with double intensity. The fire appears like doused, but it comes back. Like you put ghee in the fire, trying to extinguish the fire is not going to get extinguished. For a momentary thing, it may look like, okay, I indulged in that and I satisfied, but it comes back with double intensity. The victories that one has to, so when the contaminated consciousness has to become pure, the victories are all within, it's not outside. So one victory over your material desire is a far more significant victory. So we should pray, even if we are not able to conquer, it's a force. Like a mad elephant uprooting a banana tree, small tender banana tree. What is the strength of a banana tree? It's nothing. And even a small child can go and uproot. For a mad elephant, it is nothing. So lust desires, when it comes, when a person is overpowered by those lusty desires, the force or the strength of that is very huge. Theoretically, even if you know you are not able to control, that is the state of our conditional existence. Where do you get strength from? The strength comes by whatever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given by the process of chanting, by coming and engaging in devotional service with all utter humility and sincerity, and praying to the Lord. Please forgive me, O Lord, I could not do it. In that humble, genuine prayer, in that honest submission, lies the doors of strength. Where you are revealing your mind to the Lord, Lord gives strength to overcome. And with the strength of the Lord, with the mercy of the Lord, one can overcome this. With our efforts and intelligence, it's not easy. Any other thoughts or comments? Good point. Captured the nice point. So what are the 4 prayers that we should have for the Lord? What are the 4 things that we should ask for forgiveness? neglectful dealings, sinful activities, offenses, one more thing. Should not forget missed opportunities. Sometimes the opportunities come to get engaged in devotional service. I should not miss that. If that happens, I should ask for forgiveness in life. That gives me the things. Thank you for coming and being part of this Bhagavad Gita class. We will see